Real quick, his introduction, basically, he loves coffee. He built his shop from the ground under, brick and mortar. Let's go. Him and his wife love coffee. They met over coffee. They do everything coffee. They have 3 kids, 1 incoming in October. Let's go. Trevor, what are you drinking tonight, man?
Yeah, I'm drinking some hang on, what? Oh wait, there it was. I'm drinking some espresso. This is a quad actually, so it's 2 double shots of a wonderful washed Ethiopia Coke from SB Coffee, which is a wonderful roaster here in Michigan.
Awesome.
Camera autofocuses.
No, you're good. Guys, and then we will be tonight, I'm going to be drinking, and we're going to have a section where we're going to be brewing coffee. Right here, we have our lovely pour over camera. Right here, we're going to be brewing a V60, which we'll actually be brewing Sabbath coffee. The coffee he roasted. He gifted this to me, which is really cool. Tell me about this coffee. This is the Geisha Colombia Manos Guantes Micro Mill. Tell me about this coffee.
Oh, yeah. So that was my cue. Sorry, my wife is texting me. She's upstairs watching us. So yeah, that coffee is a really amazing cup of coffee. We were really, really fortunate as a young coffee roaster and shop to get it. What it is it's a Geisha coffee, and what that means is the plant that the farmer cultivated was uprooted from Ethiopia and planted in Colombia. It was passed down from that family as an heirloom after generation. So what you're dealing with is multiple things. One, this coffee plant was actually from Ethiopia originally, uprooted and then planted again inside of Colombia. On top of that, it is a natural processed coffee. So what that means is when they actually take the coffee cherry off of the tree, they'll put it onto drying beds and just let the sun kind of bake down. And instead of removing the cherry from the seed, which we actually just roast the inner seed, we call it a bean, but it's a seed. Instead of removing the cherry, they actually just let it sit and dry out the fruit mucilage, all of it on top of it. And then it adds some very unique things that roasters can play with as they're roasting. And on top of that, again, they actually then fermented it without oxygen. So there's lots of cool, crazy.
I didn't mention that. Am I saying it correctly? An anaerobic.
Yeah. So anaerobic.
This is huge. This is like recent, within maybe like what would you say? Like the last 2-3 years maybe, where people are starting to pick up, right?
Yeah, 3 years. They're trying to kind of play with fermentation. They're kind of copying the wine game a little bit. So you're starting to see kind of the big joke is nowadays in specialty coffee, if you don't see 3 words in front of fermentation, then what is the coffee anyways?
Yeah. Guys, and exactly. So what we're talking here, and this goes with our topic of what is specialty coffee. We're going to flip this real fast here just so you can see this. So specialty coffee, we have besides aesthetically, bag design, it's a beautiful bag, right? It's just a beautiful bag, but you have labels that are on these sort of bags. Now they're on Starbucks bags or different things, but they have specific information that I in my opinion, Trevor, connects to specialty coffee in its way to make it special, right? That's the cheesiest way to say it. But you have the origin of it, the specific farm that it was a part of, or the co-op or whatever, essentially the company that grew the coffee and processed the coffee. You have what sort of processed coffee it is, whether that's a washed natural, whether it's a honey process. There's all these there's 5 or 6 different processes that maybe 5 actually that are frequently listed on the bag. And then you have the tasting notes. So we taste pineapple, cherries, or milk chocolate, which comes from the roaster as well. I mean, there's some part of the grower that contributes to that, but the roaster has the final roast on it, right? And then the variety as far as the geisha, or there's what is there, 6 to 10 different varieties that are out there as far as the bean size and the type of bean that it is.
There's even more than 6 to 10 nowadays.
Oh yeah, exactly. There's so many varieties. Ziggy says has a roast level. Jail has an expiration date. Jail. So even looking at these guys, so these are kind of like a medium, definite medium roast to them. And that's just kind of the profile that he roasted his coffee at. With that, so we're gonna brew this in a second, but that's kind of the foundation of what specialty coffee is. You have all this extra facts. It's not just, can I go to Starbucks? Can I get a Pike's Place roast? You have no information about it. Can I get a dark roast? And those are common terms that are used. And this isn't like well, I've used those terms, you shouldn't be using, those are just basic terms. They're really not. They're just what was given to people growing up with coffee. Like, that's what it is. Like, oh, I like dark roast coffee, or like, whatever that is.
I'm trying to fix the focus on my camera. I'm really sorry.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. So what we're gonna do, guys, is we're gonna brew this, and I'm gonna ask if you guys have questions. Again, guys, ask the questions. Sick Nasty in the chat saying would love to have a cold brew episode. That's gonna be coming. We're just really building the foundation of specialty coffee as it starts here. So if you have a question, or you're curious, or you have comments, like, let them know. This contributes to the stream, and when people are watching this later, they even have more information on it. Perfect.
Yeah.
So based on your experience, Trevor, what distinguishes specialty coffee from normal coffee? Like your establishment, essentially, to a Dunkin' Donuts, or break down like 5 points of what that exactly looks like.
Oh, 5 points. Oh, okay.
Like really simple. I'm just
kidding. Yeah. So there's a few different things. There's a couple ways to look at it. Is the strictest definition of like what specialty coffee is, and kind of like the strict definition textbook would be at the green stage. So the seed stage, what we as a roaster import in to roast, we're looking at to make sure that coffee is primarily free of defects. There's no Quakers, which is a term for like kind of a poor made seed. It's not going to roast well, that it's properly sized and dried. So when it goes through all those processes, that it was maintained to a certain level, that once we roast it, the cup is kind of free of certain faults that we may taste that's like tainting things. There's different things that we kind of grade these coffees on, right? So there's like a sliding scale with specialty coffee, and the coffees that are inside of specialty coffee are kind of like a very small micro range. So it's the top tier of coffees around the world. That's kind of like the strictest definition. I think how on top of that, what I would say is even more important is that we're going a little bit beyond what grading. We can throw numbers at that. For instance, that Columbia Gesha, I think, graded out at like an 89 cup. So like that's a wicked awesome coffee. You're not going to find a lot of coffees that are better than that. It's an amazing cup of coffee. But on top of that, you're talking about, we list like the producer, the mill, all of these different attributes to coffee that we may not be familiar with. And that's because with specialty, we're looking from the whole supply chain. So from the farmer that is cultivating it, that is doing the backbreaking labor of actually sowing the seed, tending for these seeds. And it may be like a family thing that they have done for generation.
Yeah.
On through.
And I think that's the coolest part. And that's the biggest distinction, is that you guys are handed, and you guys basically find all this information that helps the farm and expresses the farm's not interests, but the reason why they're doing what they're doing. So like, it's all just this information and data that's a lot more, and it's shared oftentimes over the counter or between friends in the industry or different things. Like it's coffee lingo, but it's also what makes specialty coffee, is that you can go into a Sabbath, you can go into a Blue Bottle, if you're familiar with Blue Bottle, or Intelligentsia, which those are a little bit larger coffee roasters and places, but you can go there and find this additional information. Whereas I feel like is if you went to a Dunkin' Donuts or a Starbucks, or went into like your local place, you could say, hey, what's the origin of this coffee? Oh, it's a dark roast, or, not that they wouldn't be knowledgeable. And here's the distinction. So certain Starbucks, like reserve stores, they know more information because they're trained and given more information. And those reserve stores in Seattle, they're given a lot more information and there's a lot more training. But like your local, like Starbucks that's in Target, or your local Starbucks there, they don't have that sort of information, and they're not, they're not trained on it. Right. And that's not a knock against them. It's just, they're so large and they receive their coffee from so many farms or large farms that information gets lost. And that's what's crucial about the specialty coffee that I love to share with people, and saying, oh, this is a Honduras, this is a Colombia, this is a this washed what, and I'm not saying the whole name. Oh, this is a Manos Guantes. I'm not saying that, but I'm giving them information. Oh, this is a geisha, which people may never heard that term before when it comes to coffee. But you're giving the origin and all these tasting notes. That's like my favorite part of sharing coffee with people, is being able to say, oh yeah, this coffee that I'm sharing with you, oh, this has like tasting notes of like pineapple or blueberry pie, lemon, that sort of thing, right? And people say, and they may think to themselves, you know what? I've never had a coffee that tastes like blueberry. This tastes like blueberry muffins, right? Like there's nothing added to this. Like there's no like syrup or anything. No, like this is very much what it is. Like this is specialty coffee of a flavor, of just dynamic and all that, which is honestly my favorite part.
Yeah, I mean, you spoke to a lot of different things there, and it's really trying to like dive deeper into the coffee. And at the end of the day, we're in specialty coffee, from the roaster to really the farmer, is everyone is trying to produce a better cup. And they're trying, especially now in like the last, I would say 10 years, specialty coffee has really been pushing on the farm of like trying to figure out different ways to produce a better cup of coffee, whether that is through different water management sources, or obviously the fermentation. Like, I mean, this coffee is really, really cool. Upon like arrival, when they bring it to the mill after the farmer goes through and picks the cherries, so upon arrival they measure the Brix and the pH of that coffee, so the sugar content right off the bat and the pH content off of it. So there's like deep science that is going. It's not just like, yeah, exactly, we're growing a cherry and doing there's like real true science. And for me, as someone that has dealt with like quality and kind of low level knuckle dragging engineering, it's something interesting for me, because there is some type of scientific method that is being done here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And within culinary and in just science. So
perfect. So what we're gonna do, guys, is we're gonna brew this coffee here, and this is like I love geishas. I really do. They're like, if I see one, like we bought one at Sweet Bloom when we were in Colorado, I'm buying it, because not that they're like limited, but they are limited. Not a lot of, it's not like a common thing that all farmers have their hands to. It's a select few, and it depends how much they ended up getting that harvest and how much went out and actually, what was able to be purchased, right?
Yeah, 1000%. Yeah, not every farmer has.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, not every farmer has geishas. I mean, it's a really rare, when we say heirloom, like it's an heirloom thing, and most of the time they go for very, very high value cost. And we were very fortunate. Company dropped 2 bags off of their list of purchasing, and my importer, who I'm really good friends with, was like, yo, you should probably buy these. And I got awesome. A discount.
That's awesome. So. Okay, so what we're going to be doing, guys, is we're going to be brewing this via V60. Okay, guys, if you aren't familiar with this is a very common brewing device in this, in specialty coffee shops or third wave coffee shops. This is something you can purchase at your home. It's just a cone shape. This is a Hario O2 brewer. So again, it's just a cone shape there, vessel, a little bit of grooves on there, with a simple white filter, which we pre-rinsed already, guys. And then it's just brewed into just a real simple carafe. So that you can use a coffee cup, but you don't have to purchase this as a set. Although I love the aesthetic of a coffee server. It just makes it really fun. And again, guys, the scale here is just a Hario scale, but the reason why we have a scale, Trevor, why?
Numbers are always critical. You're trying to do, it's easy to replicate things if you have a recipe, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like crucial, guys. So what we're going to be doing, guys, is we already pre-ground 20 grams of coffee. And a typical brewing ratio that we're going to do is a 1 to 15. So for every gram of coffee, we're introducing 15 grams of water. And again, it is a recipe. It's repetition, variables, controlling your variables, grind size, which is super important, water temperature, which is super important, agitation, which is super important, and then the time to brew and all that plays in effect. You can get a plastic V60, Ziggy says, for a great price on Amazon. You can absolutely. 10 15 bucks, you could get a whole set just like this that's plastic. It's since I've made it. No, Trevor, a year?
Yeah, 1,000%. I don't make V60s anymore.
I guess not. Do you guys
Unlike
do a manual brew method in your shop?
No.
No, that's fine. No, and that's okay too, because a lot of the times, like, it is a manual thing and it is a time management thing. But a lot of times coffee shops, what they'll do is they'll find a really good, really good batch brewer. I've had like Huckleberry has a really good batch brewer that's just consistent, and that's all it is, consistency for a good cup of coffee. And it comes down to like batch brewers, the quality of coffee. So what we're gonna do, guys, is we're gonna do 20 grams here of coffee. We're gonna level out a little bit. Ooh. I'm gonna reposition here because I can't do this sitting down. And again, guys, we have our water boiling here. It's gonna be like a second till it boils, which is on me because I let it set there and it timed out. But we'll let that heat up real fast. But again, guys, this is a V60. You can buy it on Amazon. It's really common. As a home brewer, it can make, you can fit honestly like 50 to 60 grams in an O2 V60. I've pushed it to the limits. It changes your brew time a little bit, but the extraction's still like constant. But we're gonna do a 20 gram, which will produce about 300 grams of water, which is like a good cup. It's a little over a cup. Yeah, Trevor, clever dripper. I don't have a clever dripper. I've actually wanted a clever dripper. That's the only brew method that I don't have, to be honest. I think out of all the main ones,
low key, that's what I love.
What's different about a clever dripper?
Yeah. Clever dripper. I actually, for people who are just getting started in specialty coffee, maybe their gateway was maybe the French press. A lot of people get into like kind of, I started grinding my own beans, so now I buy a French press.
Yeah, that's how it starts. That's how it starts.
It's an easy way to get into it because you just pour water in and it's immersion, and then it's like a good strong cup of coffee. Well, a clever dripper is kind of broad terms. It's the best of both worlds. So you have this kind of manual pour over like the V60. Mm-hmm. It's a cone shape, but you're also getting an immersion just like a French press. And it's really easy for beginners to figure out and make like a really great cup of coffee and feel like they're part of that manual brew cycle. My friend, who is a YouTuber, he does the virtual coffee lab. Feel free to check him out. He does like a lot of home roasting videos. He swears by the clever dripper. He's awesome.
Yeah, it can be really good.
Drop another person.
Yeah. And that's a good point, guys. If in chat, if you're here, guys, share what you use at home. Don't be embarrassed. If you're using a Mr. Coffee machine, if you're using a French press, if you've got an espresso machine, Ziggy, I gave you an espresso machine, so you better say you got the goods. But whatever you're brewing, let me know. Look, Trevor's got a Breville barista. Those are really cool. Home machines. Those are good. People have perfected. If you can perfect it, like it's good from Breville. Let me see here. Sorry, I'm just reading this. Oh, my bot thing took a message away from him. It's fine. Don't worry, Brandon. He said darn right. Anyway, so his point was the like French press, right? That's a really common brew method that people use because it's just really simple and they put in their scoops of coffee. But if you really took the time and looked at some recipes for French press, you grabbed yourself a quality bag of coffee that's roasted fresh, which is a big part of specialty coffee. It's coffee that's freshly roasted. You can make a really good French press coffee. that's way better than what you would have got from Folgers or from the Kona blend or whatever from Costco, those beans, right? So again, going back to here, guys, so we have our 20 grams in here. We're gonna tare our scale. What we're gonna do, we have water that's boiled to 200 degrees. Boiling temperature is what's recommended, but again, people can fluctuate between brew temperatures. People go 202, 198, 197. It's kind of all of a preference of what you've done before, right? So what we're gonna do, guys, is we're gonna add about 40 grams of water. This is kind of my own recipe. I've done this so many times that I don't really have a recipe. I've kind of just like, as far as like brew, I'm gonna add 100 grams this, but I'm gonna show you the fundamentals of what we're doing. Okay, so we're gonna add 40 grams here. And the idea is you want to just basically get all of your bed of water wet. So 38, which is totally fine. 39 there. And we're going to let that sit for a little bit, guys. So what's happening is that the coffee is releasing these gases that you want to get rid of. It's just bubbling a little bit and it's releasing those gases from being roasted. And what we're going to do here is we're going to give it a little stir just to make sure we got everything down there. And it's introducing agitation, guys. The reason why I'm talking about agitation is because you don't want to over agitate your coffee. Essentially what you're doing is you're forcing it to be extracted, and you're going to over extract your coffee by agitating it so much. Okay, so again, we're not following a specific time. We're just gonna add probably another 80 grams or so. Again, just circle motion. You don't want to have too much agitation, as well as you don't want to have too high of a water bed, because essentially that water is just going to bypass that coffee. So we're going to add up to 115. Again, let that brew, guys. Just let it do its thing. Gravity is following down. Is that a flower? Because it's blooming. Okay, Brandon. Don't agitate the coffee. It gets sad. Only agitated a little bit, guys. Okay, and then we're going to add a little bit here. We got 115. We're at another like 70 grams or so. And again, guys, this is my own brew recipe, okay? Like I said, at the end of the day, as long as you have really good grinded coffee that's consistent and that's at a good grind size, then your time, and as far as how much you're adding in your drawdown time, I don't really care too much about, because you're gonna be able to tell from the taste of the coffee exactly what it tastes like and what you can change to do it. But I've kind of dialed in my grind, dialed in my water, dialed in my pouring, and I know kind of about when to start pouring again to reach our 300 grams there. Ziggy says, interesting. I've been using the James Hoffman V60 recipe. That's all agitation all the time. It is. Yeah, you've showed me where he swirls it the whole time, which is kind of interesting because it's just a different brew technique. But again, guys, people, they compete for this stuff, or they break it down to a science and they understand exactly what contributes to a good cup of coffee, and they've developed these brew recipes, which you can Google. Like, honestly, if you did say 2018 world champions V60 brew method, you're gonna get one that shows up. So we're gonna wait for this. Again, we're at 255. And Trevor, for the people that you talk to when you talk to the way you brew coffee or the way coffee can be made, like even you're clever, what's some pushback that you get from like someone who is home that wants to make a cup of coffee that tastes good, but they don't want to take the time to do it? Like, what are some of the things that you've shared with them to give them perspective on why doing it this way, or like the benefits of it?
Yeah, I think so it's a mix for us, right? So our shop is we do dialed in batch brew, and we do extraction test on it all the time. So we kind of go with a good mixture of consistency, always awesome, and a little bit of speed. We're a very small shop, but when it comes to like manual, people want to get into it. I think there's some type of it's a good daily routine. It's a focus into it. You can kind of zen out, and especially if you're making that first cup of the morning, if you allow your time space, or allow yourself some time and space, which we don't often do.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You give that self a little time where you can focus for 3.5 minutes and just kind of take a breath and do something kind of zen and focus on something other than what your day is going to bring. I think there's something of value to that when it comes to manual brew methods. You can kind of just take a deep breath in, kind of focus on something, and then get a caffeine fix right after it.
Yeah, and that's something that I've shared with people too. And even like my boss, I've spoiled them. I've spoiled so many people giving them like really good brewed coffee, because then they're like, oh, I can't taste Keurig anymore because it tastes awful compared to this coffee that had cranberry or floral tasting notes or whatever. But you know, I got him introduced into specialty coffee, and he asked, you know, what can I buy to do in my house? And you know, after like a week or two, he's like, exactly what you said. You know what? It's like a ritual. It's like a ritual in the morning where I can take, you know, it takes 6-7 minutes to boil your water, maybe less. You boil your water, you do something, you come back and you take like 2.5-3 minutes to brew a cup of coffee, and you kind of start your day off. My wife, she's like 3-4 months ago, she's like, I like making coffee. Like I like brewing in the morning. She's a mom of 2, like starting her day off in chaos. But she's like, oh, but starting my day off with like coffee and making coffee is something that is nice. Like that's like the benefit of it, right? You have to see it that way. You have to remove yourself from like, oh, I gotta start my day. Like, well, this takes too much time. Like, no, like take a moment just for you. Take a moment for you, right? Yeah. Ziggy says, take the dogs out while the kettle boils. There you go. Or having a special machine on a smart plug. It's warmed up by the time you wake up. There's ways to like make it a productive morning making coffee, but it's just important that you take the time to do something and step away. And I love it. That's probably the best part of brewing coffee, is that and being able to share it with it. I
also think
go ahead.
There's like, this isn't to knock batch brewing either, because like nowadays, like there's a lot of really great home coffee brewers that you can buy that have really good thermal stability, and you don't have to spend your whole bank on it. So if you don't want to do manual brews, there's tons of awesome home brewers out there that you can just buy. And I tell everyone, whether it's Sabbath Coffee Roasters or the roaster down the street, like support local. Find a local coffee roaster that the coffee you're going to buy is within a few weeks old, and man, you're going to have an instantly better cup of coffee. If that coffee is fresh, no matter what else, it's going to be better than what is in the 7-year-old Keurig machine that is partially molded because no one cleaned it out
absolutely.
The
There's like some like specialty coffee brands that have dedicated to specifically batch brewers that aren't like your commercial Mr. Coffee or whatever. Like Ratio, I have a Ratio, and they've taken basically the way that you brew a Chemex, and they have made it into this very aesthetically pleasing. Again, it's all price point where you choose to buy, but the quality of coffee is just like insane for me to say I'm gonna grind coffee and then set a button and it's gonna do it all its own. I'm gonna say goodnight to my kids real fast. But you know the other ones. So talk about like even Oxo has some stuff. Breville has some stuff that are pulse brewing. Talk about that for 1 second.
For sure. Yeah. A lot of home brewers are doing like a pulse brew. So you saw Kainos when he was doing his little brew method, doing that brew, the bloom. So you're like putting a little bit of coffee, getting it wet, letting it release some of those volatile gases. There's home brewers that are like under $150 that do that same thing. Also, to plug Sabbath, our flagship blend is named Ritual for that very reason. So thanks, Kainos, for dropping that. You can order it at sabbathcoffeeroasters.com. Thanks.
Oh, there you go. Well, I do have your link. So if you do coffee, there's your address. Your Sabbath Coffee Roasters.
Boom. What
were you saying though?
Yeah, there's just tons of different machines. Get Facebook Marketplace is also your like the best place to buy coffee equipment. We have a Breville, I don't know, one of their top of the line like actual batch brewers, and I found it on, it's like $400 brand new or $450. I found it on Facebook Marketplace for like $125, and it wasn't even opened. It was really cool. Took it home, cleaned it, boom, made coffee the next day, and it was awesome.
Yeah. So again, that's just a practical way, guys. Even if you have a normal coffee machine, there's ways around it. What I tell people that are like, well, I just have, a Ninja coffee maker, or I have a Mr. Coffee or whatever. I usually tell them is like, where you could start is the coffee. That will make a huge difference. Although you're not going to extract it as fully, because coffee machines, they typically just dump water in and dump water as it boils, and you're not getting that pulse, that break for the coffee to extract. But really the quality of coffee is going to make a huge difference. And that's one way that you guys can start is, again, find a local, this is what I love to do when people are in my stream, or if they're in life, or through Instagram or someone, and we talk about coffee, like, oh, where can I get coffee? I do a quick Google search for such and such coffee roasters at such and such place. And often you can find some places by the looks of them, you can kind of see like, oh, this doesn't look like a place that's been there for like 30 years with like a 30-year-old couch. Like those are kind of risky places, because it's like, I don't know if they're going to be doing that sort of coffee. You know what I'm talking about. There's like the ones that are like 30-year-old couch that people love sitting on it, but they don't realize it's like 30 years old. Okay? Yeah. Those couches are like, questionable. Anyway, so I do a Google search and I recommend places according to where people live. That's something that I do. Like even we had the other day on a morning stream, we had our buddy Danny Montaigne, who's another streamer that we were playing with, but he was in chat, and he lives in the Michigan, Detroit area. And I was telling him, he's like, oh, where can I get some of this coffee? And I was like, yo, Sabbath is just right in your neighborhood, and you were there too. But that's something that I love, sharing locations of coffee, of what exactly is. And what you can do is you can go there and don't be afraid and ask them about their coffee, of what their coffee. They can't see your hand. Put it in front of your.
Wait. We're crap. We're like right here. We're right here. Okay. Mitten State. This is the joy of living in Michigan.
Oh, I guess that's true. You can give. I was like, what is he doing with his hand? Like, is he trying to give a hand hug?
Yeah, you other people, you guys don't know what it's like to have a map right on your head.
Utah?
Okay? Yeah.
That's basically what it is. I'm like, we're just a square. That's my friend who owns Rosa. Just reading comments.
Yeah, actually, the Ethiopia that I was drinking earlier on.
Oh, nice.
Stream, Sam, who roasted it, is actually in the chat right.
Is that the Tupac?
Yeah.
Tupac. Oh, Tupac. Nice. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Again, guys, so to kind of briefly talk about, this is again the introductory episode of the Coffee Lab, episode 1. So we're going to be doing this. I'm trying to decide whether we're going to be doing it bi-weekly. Not bi-weekly. Yeah, I guess it'd be bi-weekly, every other week. 2 weeks, right? Bi-weekly? Bi-monthly?
Yeah, it's bi-weekly. That's bi-weekly. You're right. Sure. You got it.
Every other week. Or weekly. I don't know what we're going to do yet. We're going to be doing these episodes and kind of hitting on different sort of things. We're going to have a guest, a roaster / gamer who is contributing to the coffee industry in their own way, where they're owning a shop, they roast, they are a barista or that sort of thing. We're going to be doing that and having the discussion and these specific topics. So again, today's topic was, what is specialty coffee? And we can go into a ton of different things as far as the types of the varieties of coffees, or the heirlooms out there, or the different processes or different things. And if you have specific questions about those, definitely answer them or ask them, and we can answer it before we're done here. But the gist of it is it's quality coffee from quality farms who are trying to produce this quality coffee for us to, not necessarily to enjoy, but it's their livelihood, right? We know the information about the coffee farmers. We know the information about the work that they kind of do, and all that. And that's kind of the difference between Starbucks and specialty coffee, is that we have all this information that we want to share and educate and support and be able to represent, versus, yo, hey, can I get a coffee frappuccino? It's more information. And you may not, Trevor, have customers that come in asking, oh, what is this coffee? Every customer's not going to ask, oh, what's this coffee today? Oh, what's this coffee today? But you've been training them. You've been giving information to them. You've been putting these visuals in their eyes and inundating them essentially with what's considered specialty coffee. Yeah. What makes your coffee stand out versus them going to a Dunkin' Donuts to get a coffee that's sweetened with blueberry.
Yeah, I think you're trying to all like, you're attaching as close as we can, like a face with the product. You're just trying not to put this nameless product. There's a lot of hard work that goes into
there is
and
yeah,
those farmers like literally break their backs, and the thing with specialty coffee that with most time, hopefully you have that traceability that
exactly
we're doing
exactly
the best that we can, I think, with trying to do a traceability and provide those farmers with a price point that is livable and hopefully sustainable, that they can actually not just live off of it, but take it to their farm and grow their farm and their family's livelihood. I would hope that's every coffee that I and Sabbath tries to buy is we do that with the intent of, man, I'm trusting our importers to have some type of traceability and transparency in a price market that we're paying above commodity, that our farmers are growing and having the best livelihood that hopefully we can help with, and hopefully we can continue to push those prices up so we can push that down the line, just trying our best.
No, and that reminds me too, like something that we're going to totally expand upon as we continue to do more episodes. Like I want to get Long Miles Ben on here. That's his Instagram handle, but Ben Long, who does incredible work in Burundi coffee and his farms, and he works with them and he sources these amazing coffees. I don't know if you ever had his coffees. They are like the best Burundi coffees that I've ever had, like consistency, and it's all the work. Like he is constantly working with these farmers, providing resources, funds, and all this stuff to upgrade their own farm, not farm, but like their own equipment when they're processing at the processing mill and all of that. And his work is like irreplaceable. Like he's making huge impacts in the coffee industry, specifically in that area. So that's something that we're going to be talking about as we progress more into it. Like Sick Nasty said earlier in the chat that he wants an episode on cold brew. I know a couple people just I've met through Instagram that have perfected cold brew and have an understanding of what cold brew is. Because again, there's a distinction between cold brew that's brewed from like a mass company to like you brewing cold brew in your own house. Like there's definitely a quality difference, in my opinion, that I find between those two things. Like, not to say Stumptown isn't amazing. Like they do a lot of work in Oregon and they've done a lot for specialty coffee and they have decent coffee, like really good coffee. But like their cold brew, I don't enjoy their cold brews because it's just the
oxidized.
It's just like it's stale because it's canned. It's canned. Okay, well let's just say the facts. It's a canned product, but as well as the flavor notes and all that, it's just like not good. It's like bitter, or it's like just like, ugh, it's just too much. In my opinion, that's in my opinion. When it comes to like cold brew, there's good ways to do it and there's like okay ways to do it, but there's still good ways. It's better than like, I don't know. It's just better in general. Oxidation is the killer of cold brew. Sadly, but true. Yes, very true. Oh, I'm going to change something real fast, guys. Give me 1 second here. I hate that it does that. I just added it today.
Tupac's probably yelling at me right now.
Is he? So it's probably good that
No, he's probably actually on board with what I'm saying.
Perfect.
Maybe.
So we are going to wrap this episode up. Okay. So this isn't going to be our last episode. This is going to be our introduction episode to get people, acquainted with specialty coffee. No. Tupac, you're good. No, you're good. You're good. I just added this bot like today, and I know that the like sensitivity. Let me just change this real fast. Like the spam protection is like ridiculous as far as like not being able to do like emotes and stuff. And I didn't fully get to test it out. So you should be good to put your emotes and stuff. Nightbot is a wee bit strict. Yes, it is. I was just messing with it. I didn't get a chance to play around with it. Rule breaker says you should be good now. Say what you were originally gonna say. Just let it out. Just use.
Yeah, just hype it. Just hype
it right now. Do it. Do it right now. Redo it.
It's too much heat.
Basically, I'm sorry.
You need a frozen latte for that heat there.
I know, basically. Anyways, guys, so again, this has been Coffee Lab episode 1 with Trevor from Sabbath Coffee Roasters. Before you share your last remarks, again, guys, we're going to be doing these episodes. Next episode, episode 2, will be with Andrew Sinclair of Mad Lab Coffee out in Los Angeles. I have actually a geisha from him as well. I bought one. We're just going to go down. And then the next week after that, Sweet Bloom geisha. Boom.
All
boom.
the geishas.
No, but he's the owner there and the roaster, but I know that he spends so much time understanding coffee, and it's like you, all self-taught coffee theory. But that's something that I'm excited to have on episode 2. I will be releasing the topic and exactly what that topic is about next week on our Twitter. So do !Twitter. I'll put that in there just so you guys can follow it, as well as the IG on there as well. Be sure to, I think I have my Twitter connected to that. It's on the panels below. But we'll be releasing that title as well, guys. As if you are not following the channel, please follow the channel, guys. We are grinding for affiliate, which has to do with just our recurring viewers and you guys, the 15 people that are here. I'm absolutely honored to have you here, that you are enjoying this. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have questions, let me know. Message me. I'm a Twitch newborn. This is wild. Yo, welcome to the life. Twitch God is like, welcome. Be sure to follow the channel, guys, because we're going to continue to do these coffee episodes here. If you've missed it, or you had to check out, or you missed the first part, I will be posting it on YouTube as well. That'll be on YouTube, but we're going to finish it up here, and then we'll be playing games in probably about 15-20 minutes or so. Be playing some Apex. But your last remarks, Trevor, to what is specialty, a couple things you want to share, and what are you excited about coffee? Like, what excites you?
Yeah, I think just my last remarks is kind of just wrapping up everything. It's just not looking at, for me, it's not just looking at the grade of the coffee. It's hopefully how I can, in any way, shape, or form, be a part of making the whole supply chain of coffee progress in some way. Whether that's through, research or development, but just being there to buy coffees that are above commodity, and that the farmers are getting some type of livable wage that they can help continue to grow amazing coffee. So yeah,
and that's a good point. These bigger industries like Folgers, or you name it, like the classic, like it's in every store, that sort of thing. The amount of mass production of coffee and the farms that they get their coffee from, it's not always livable wages. It's not always, it's really not. That's the reality of specialty coffees, that you have coffee shop owners or people that are passionate about providing and basically translating that livable wage into their cup of coffee, where it originated on the farm with the farmer who produced that coffee, right? That's like a huge takeaway, guys, that I hope you understand, is that specialty coffee is it's not just a cup of coffee. It's not just a bag of coffee. This bag of coffee was produced and grown by hands that don't live in the same house that you live in, that don't live in the same area that you live in, that may not have the same health conditions that you don't live in, that whatever it is, they are working their butts off to produce high quality coffee beans, green coffee, to be purchased by specialty coffee roasters that see their potential, that see their value, and they say, you know what, I love the quality of this coffee, and I want my community to understand and know the quality of coffee that you put into it, right? Yeah. I think that's the biggest distinction between what specialty coffee is and what kind of like normal coffee is. You have all this information that goes behind it. It's not just, oh yeah, this is a dark roasted coffee. Like this is you know what I'm saying. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but freaking specialty coffee is my favorite, and I love sharing cups of coffee, and I'm so glad that we were able to do this. Trevor, thank you for your time, dude.
Oh, thank you so man. Much. Thank you.
Thank you to your wife for letting me have you for
giving me freedom
for the last hour. No, I appreciate it. Again, guys, if you have questions in chat, put the questions in there. We'll answer it when we come back from our little break. to play some Apex. Stay around. If you're not into gaming, I understand, guys. Follow the channel for coffee content. The thing about my channel is that we're streaming content and we're doing gaming content, Apex or whatever shooters you want to say, but coffee is ingrained in what I want to build in this community, and I love coffee. If someone comes in and say, yo, what'd you drink today? I'm going to talk about it. If they say, hey, I'm trying to look for a coffee roaster near me, what do you suggest? I'm going to talk about it because that is something that I care about in my community here on Twitch. But again, guys, that ends everything for us. We're going to throw this be right back screen. But again, Trevor, thank you so much for everything you've done. This has been so fun to be a part of the inaugural episode of the Coffee Lab. We're not going to stop. We'll have you on again. Absolutely.
We can do a roast along next time.
Seriously, that would be so fun. Like
you can burn like 20 pounds of coffee.
Yeah, just you're like, oh, I got to get back to the roaster. Too late.
No, we can do it. We got you. I got it figured out.
Perfect. Again, guys, drop a follow. Follow the YouTube because this is where the video is going to go on, the Twitter, IG, all the socials, guys. And go show some love to Sabbath. Again, he had this delicious coffee. If you're in the Michigan area by chance, purchase it. It's local. Him and his wife are just doing an incredible job. Only if it's roasting coffee and people. Yeah. We'll do that. We'll do that next, Brandon. Perfect. Well, guys, this is me signing off. Trevor, thanks again. I appreciate it, guys, and we'll be back here shortly for some Apex, as per usual. Bye.